Thank you to all of you for joining us today. We are very, very happy to have you. My name is Carol Guest. I'm serving as interim president for the Greater Houston Black Chamber of Commerce, and you have joined us for our annual Procurement Expo. So thank you for investing in yourself and joining us today. We have an array of wonderful, wonderful, and knowledgeable panelists for you today. So make sure you take copious notes, get your laptop out, get your coffee, have your mind alert and be energized and be ready to receive all of this great information that you're going to receive today. And we'd like to thank all of our members who have joined us today. Because of you, we're able to bring you this kind of information, and to our wonderful, wonderful sponsors, the University of Houston, Houston Community College, Port Houston, and Chevron. Thank you so much for your continued support of the Chamber. And I cannot keep going without recognizing our wonderful committees, the Economic Development Committee and the Advocacy and Policy Committee. Thank you all so much for all of your work. And if you join the Chamber, you can also be a part of this great work in committee work. So please stay tuned for details regarding how you can become a member of our Chamber. Just some housekeeping notes. If you have any questions this morning, please place them in the chat and they'll be addressed that way. Because we have so many participants today and a little bit of time for each panel, we can't allow any live questions, any spoken questions, but we can certainly take your questions as part of the chat. So again, welcome. We're very, very, very happy to have all of you. And please enjoy the day. And now I'll turn it over to our Economic Development Chair, Ms. Tico Reynolds-Hausman, to get us started.
Thank you, Carol. Good morning, everybody. I'm so excited to introduce this amazing panel of women for you today. We're going to talk about certification and why it matters in relation to disparity studies, and go over what a disparity study is briefly. As you all know, we have had several within our region, and so it's very important to understand what initiatives will be coming forth as a result for your minority business. So I'm going to go ahead and do my best to be brief and introduce our panel. We have Gilda Ramirez. Gilda is the Senior Director of Business Equity for the Port of Houston. Gilda oversees the Small, Minority, and Women-Owned Business Enterprise Program for the Port of Houston. Since the inception of the Small Business Program in 2002, Port of Houston has awarded over $612.5 million in contract awards, or that's 37% of eligible contracts at the port. After several months of program development, Port Houston officially launched the Port of Houston Business Equity Initiative on July 1st of this year. This initiative will include the implementation of various proactive approaches designed to increase procurement opportunities for small, minority, and women-owned business enterprise vendor community. We will get into that a little bit later in the program. Next, I'd like to introduce Pamela Chan. Pamela is the Executive Director of the Harris County Department of Economic Equity and Opportunity. Her career centers on developing and testing innovative ideas that advance equity and community economic development. She returned home to Harris County from St. Louis this year, where in St. Louis, she launched the Social Policy Institute at Washington University as Associate Director and established an initiative on inclusive growth in St. Louis. Among the many responsibilities of the Equity Office, Pamela and her team have implemented Harris County's first MWBE program. Now, everyone on this call should know our next panelist, Ms. Sharonda Murray. Sharonda serves as the External Relations Officer for Procurement for Metro. In this capacity, Sharonda assists small and disadvantaged businesses with contract opportunities, business development, technical assistance, and certifications. She is responsible for providing external relations and outreach for the Department of Procurement and the Office of Small Business. And to kick us off this morning, we are honored to have our subject matter expert of disparity studies, Ms. Colette Holt. Colette Holt represents public agencies and private firms on issues related to civil rights, public contracting, and affirmative action. She has broad experience in conducting defensible disparity studies, expert witness consulting, and testimony, drafting legislation and policies, designing programs, managing initiatives, defending affirmative action programs, and counseling private firms on compliance with diversity requirements. Ms. Holt serves as General Counsel to the American Contract Compliance Association and is an author and frequent media commentator on these issues. Welcome, welcome, ladies. I'm so excited. The Port of Houston, Metro, and Harris County have recently completed disparity studies for the MWBE programs. As a result, these organizations have adopted aggressive measures to ensure that MWBEs are included in their contracting. To leverage these opportunities, MWBE firms should become certified if they have not already, because utilizing certified firms will be a requirement for the prime vendors with these goals. If anyone in the audience has questions, please type them in the chat or the Q&A. Once our speakers have presented, we will get to those burning questions. So I would like to start by asking Colette to give us a brief overview of what a disparity study is and why governmental agencies must have them to maintain MWBE goals for contracting. Colette?
Well, thank you and good morning to everyone. And thank you for having me. And I promise to be brief. It's early in the morning to be listening to lawyers talk. A disparity study is research that is quantitative and qualitative. That should be anyway, designed to meet the very exacting standards that the federal courts impose on race and gender conscious programs. Many of you may know that federal judges are just extraordinarily hostile to these programs, and more so, I would suggest, every day. And so if an agency wants to use the highly disfavored approach of setting goals on the basis of race or gender, it really must have the type of proof and data that will support its right to do so. So disparity studies really have two major components. The first is quantitative or statistical evidence. This looks at the agency's utilization of women and minority-owned firms as a percentage of all dollars that were spent. The study should also then estimate at a very, very detailed, granular level the availability of women and minority-owned firms to provide the goods and services that the agency buys and that are located in its overall geographic market. The study will then compare the utilization to the availability to see whether there is a gap or a disparity between those, and to the extent that that disparity is large enough and in a negative direction, because you can actually have positive disparities as well, that becomes the basis for the agency's argument that if it does not do something affirmative, that it will continue to be a passive participant in a discriminatory marketplace. Many disparity studies often include an economy-wide element where the consultant looks at various census databases to see what things look like in the overall Houston area economy. And then there's the qualitative or anecdotal portion of the study. And people go about this in various ways. That can consist of electronic surveys, of interviews. Sometimes people do some kind of public hearing. But that is all designed to ask people about their experiences in the marketplace and whether or not they experience full and fair opportunities to compete for agency contracts. One important thing to know about the qualitative evidence is that the courts do require that you look and explore the experiences of non-MWBEs, because one of the legal tests that you have to meet is that race and gender neutral measures, some type of small business program perhaps, or things like prompt payment, reduced bonding requirements, quick pay, that would benefit all firms, really do need to be, if not tried first and all fail, they certainly do need to be an important component of your program. So it's important to get the experiences of non-MWBEs so that you can kind of gauge whether or not the problems that people are describing to you really are the result of race or gender-based barriers, or whether or not, in fact, they could be addressed through other means that do not involve the use of race or gender in contracting. From the standpoint of businesses, it's very, very important to become certified. And that's for several reasons. I mean, certainly one of them is that to the extent that the programs exist, they are going to require prime vendors to conduct outreach to certified firms. I always want to stress these programs cannot be a quota. The federal courts just won't tolerate it. They have to have waivers. They have to have good faith efforts provisions. If you don't and you're sued, you're going to lose. So it's not that vendors must use MWBEs, but they absolutely must do outreach to them. And of course, if they don't know you exist, they won't be able to do that. So it's really a critical piece of promoting your own business, as well as supporting the agency goals. The other reason to go ahead and get certified is because often there are supportive services or technical assistance that may be available to you if you are certified, so that you can find out about that and participate if those are the types of classes or information that will assist your business to grow and to thrive. I mean, certainly one thing that we see across the country, and I've been working on these issues for over 30 years now, is that when there aren't programs, minorities and women get little work. The disparity study that we conducted for Harris County, which was completed, I guess, about more than a year ago now, time is flying, certainly did find that the county, in the absence of any type of MWBE program, had utilization of women and minority-owned businesses well below what is available in the Houston marketplace. And so now, under Pamela Chan's new leadership, the county is really making strides to enact a new program, to get goals set on contracts, to do outreach to vendors, and really build from scratch an MWBE program, which is really quite an undertaking. So it's really important that firms get certified. I appreciate that it is burdensome. At one point, my firm was certified in 17 states. So I definitely get that, but there's just no shortcut for it. And yes, they do have to have all that information that they're asking you for, because the federal courts require it. Firms must be small. They must be owned by socially and economically disadvantaged individuals, and that just cannot be skipped. So I wish I could make that easier. I mean, applications are online now mostly, so that's an improvement over the days when we had to, make copies and take them to the post office. But yes, they need it all. Yes, you must provide it. And if you don't, then you just can't participate in the program. So it's very important to do that. And I'm assuming that throughout the rest of this day, there'll be people talking some more about that as well. So with that, let me stop, and we can wait until questions for the end if we have some time.
Thank you, Colette. That was perfect segue. And so thanks to the charge led by Commissioner Rodney Ellis, Harris County completed the first disparity study and implemented the Office of Economic Equity and Opportunity. Pamela, can you talk a little bit about your office and the role in implementing the plan? And also, please feel free to discuss your career opportunities within your office, as you are also creating jobs in the community as well with your office.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for hosting this expo. I honestly can't think of a better way to start a Friday morning. Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Pamela Chan from the Harris County Department of Economic Equity and Opportunity. I'm very grateful to have been able to work with Colette Folk to be able to set up our MWBE program, which is in our department at Harris County. I'll just highlight a couple of things about our program. First is that we do recognize that businesses experience a lot as business owners. There's a lot on your plates, and so one aspect that we really thought through was how can we make the government procurement process as easy as possible in a first cut. We're a new program, and we're starting to work with other departments and learn how we can smooth out our internal communications about opportunities and understand how to connect with each other as there are buying opportunities, so we can more smoothly create those networking opportunities. But first, we just really elevated. Okay, let's think about when we're bringing on a new program, what can we do to make it easy? So there are two things that we've done. One is that we've been clear that we're not going to start a new certification program, and in fact, we're going to accept many of the certifications in the area, such as from the City of Houston, the Texas Hub program, and others. And I'm happy to expand upon that more if it's helpful. The other thing that we've tried to do is that we've put everything into solicitation documents. So anything related to things that a contractor might need to know about the NWPE program, we put into the solicitation documents. So you don't have to go searching for information in lots of different places. Some of the things that we're working on are looking at ways to be able to email opportunities out to y'all. We're getting that set up so that, you know, if a solicitation is coming out and it's related to an industry that you're certified in, you'll be able to get a direct email about that, as well as to think through, you know, what are the meaningful ways to create connections and relationships among people. So those are things that we're looking at building out as we bring on our team. And as Tico mentioned, there are
You were in my top.
Sorry. Well, there are a couple of positions open in our department. We're looking for an assistant director of vendor diversity programs. So we're actually in the interview process for that. We've also got a series of program managers and project monitors for the team. And these people are really important for the second aspect of our program that I think is really important. You know, we know that minority and women-owned business programs have been around for a long time. And I think, you know, something that we've really recognized is the importance of accountability to our governance system and making sure that, you know, the promises that are being made to minority and women-owned businesses, in fact, are happening on the ground, and money is getting to people in a timely manner, and that they're able to do the work that they were promised. So that's where the program managers and the project monitors really come in. They'll be the folks that can work on each contract that, you know, is in the county. If there's a goal set to it, they'll make sure that those promises are delivered upon. And so if you or someone you know is passionate about protecting the kinds of promises that have been made in a contract, then I would really highly encourage them to take a look at our department's positions. And I can certainly provide that to GHBC so they can share it around with everyone on this call. So I'll pause there for a little bit.
Okay, good deal. Thank you so much, Pam. I appreciate it. So we'll shift gears a little bit, and we'll talk with Gilda and Sharonda. So the Port of Houston has completed their study and has an initiative, and Metro is wrapping theirs up. And so there's a little bit of a distinction there. And so Sharonda, I'll turn it over to you to tell us where you are with Metro. And I know we have a special guest, Mr. Otis Johnson, who's going to be joining us and providing a little bit more information about what's happening at Metro.
Well, thank you so very much, Tico. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Well, listen, good morning, everyone, and thank you for being on here, and thank you for this opportunity. But as most of you may know, or hopefully most of you may know, Metro has an awesome small business program, first of all. Secondly, we really are trendsetters. We've done a lot prior to a disparity study to make sure that Metro had a level playing field for small businesses to participate on our contracts. We offer opportunities in 4 different categories: construction, professional services, which includes A&E, general services, and supplies and equipment. So if you are on the call and you are in any of those industries, we've always welcomed you to participate on our contracts. We always made sure that if there was a contract eligible to have a goal placed on it, you can guarantee that the goal will be placed on that contract and it will be monitored from A to Z if you are a small business. That's a promise, and we've always done that. But there was a disparity study done. It is always good, you know, you think you're good, you think you're doing everything, but it's always good to know what you don't know. And so to speak actually towards our disparity study, I'm going to bring on my director, Mr. Otis Johnson, to tell you a little bit about where we are, what we're doing, or what stages we're in right now. So Otis, you want to intercept that ball for me?
Well, thank you for that handoff. I just want to mention something that Colette said, and I feel the pain of gathering all that data So that being our first rodeo, if you will, I've survived that, and it is extremely important and necessary. But as a first time, it was tough, but we got through it. As Sharonda mentioned that, we do have success in our current race and gender neutral program. We're proud to say that of the SBE DB awards that we did over the years, 85% on average are with MWBEs. In addition, last year, 98% of our active contracts to SBEs and DBEs were MWBEs. But as Sharonda said, we're always looking for ways to do better. So with our study, as I mentioned, as Tico mentioned earlier, we got our study finalized at the end of May of this year. So we created a task force internal to basically go through the study, look at the recommendations, and ultimately give some recommendations to our board to determine what actions we're going to take as a result of the findings from the study. So one of the things we did in addition with our study was we wanted the consultant to look at and include veteran and disability-owned businesses because that was an area that we knew we had no focus. Even though there's participation, there was no focus. So we wanted to make sure that we started to expand the type of participation that we have on Metro Opportunities. So the overall, the study did show, just trying to recall a couple of things, but the study did show that our program, as it is, was quite diverse. However, it did show disparity across in the African-American owned businesses in construction and professional services. So that's one area that obviously we're going to be focusing on, but not to the extent that we obviously create an imbalance across our other ethnicity groups. So we're real sensitive, and we're looking at that as we review the study. Okay, there were obviously race and gender neutral recommendations, as well as race and gender based recommendations that were proposed in the study. Just want to highlight a couple of things. In terms of the race and gender neutral projects, right now I'd say about half of the things that were recommended in the study we were already doing, and I won't give you all of them, but just a couple of highlights is unbundling large procurements, into smaller contracts so they'd be more appealing to our MWBE constituents and contractors. We were already doing that. We were already having enhanced networking opportunities, making sure that the goal was attained during the procurement process. Okay, so there's a lot of those things that we were doing. Some of the things that they added was we increased the lead time for our solicitations. All right, right now our minimum thing that we're going to implement is at least 30 days to respond to a solicitation. Before, the minimum was 15 days or 2 weeks, because we understand the importance of that lead time for our community to have more time to respond. All right, we're expanding our outreach even further to make sure that we focus as well on organizations that can help us in areas of disparity, as well as those that can help us with veteran and persons with disability-owned companies. All right. Mm-hmm. So those are some of the highlights that we're looking at and have implemented it relative to our race and gender neutral recommendations that were in the study. As far as the race-based, all right, we're still evaluating those, so it'd be premature for me to get into those because we haven't even discussed them with our board yet. And I like my job, so I'm not going to say something out of time. But we do recognize that there are things that we can do to improve in various areas. So within, I say in our October board, we're looking at potentially making recommendations. So something's coming soon. And we do appreciate the community's patience with with our evaluation. Okay.
That's great, Otis. Thank you so much. And, one of the things I'll circle back again to what Colette said, that, if you're not registered with Metro, you definitely should, because Metro has a great small business university. And so if, they offer free OSHA training, safety for their certified small businesses. They teach you safety plans. They've got a lot of hands-on activities. So, we appreciate all the work that you've done, Metro, and that you continue to do. And so I'm going to move on to the Port of Houston. Ms. Gilda, we're so excited that we could have you with us today. And I just want to turn it over to you to talk about the new initiative that you all kicked off in July, and any other comments you may want to make regarding your disparity study.
Thank you so much, Chico. Thank you to my fellow panelists and also to all of our participants today. We appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedules to join us today. I did want to let everyone know that we too underwent a disparity study, and it was a long process. It was about 18 to 24 months in its entirety. And we have worked very closely with our consultants. We also hired Colette, and she's been very helpful to us. So I want to thank her as well. And I wanted to let everyone know that we did kick off our MWBE initiative on July 1st. So that was no easy task. It was a major undertaking for me and for our staff. We have made changes internally as recommendations from the findings that were provided during our disparity study. And so I want to take the opportunity to acknowledge those promotions and then new hires as well. So we promoted Akila Hicks, who I'm sure many of you know, to manager for MWBE, and she's heading that effort. All of you know Pedro and Pedro, I'm assuming, and so they will continue. Pedro Gonzalez is focusing on goal setting and scoring and unbundling and things like that, and Pedro Garcia is going to be heading up our outreach as he has in the past, and also helping with training. We hired a new person, and her name is Kanika Lee. Many of you may know her. She is actually from the Kingdom Center Builders, and she actually ran their construction, the Contractors Construction College. And so we're very fortunate to have her on board as well. Natasha Ainsworth, our certification specialist, was upgraded to a certification generalist. So she's going to be reaching out to many of our partners, and we're going to be doing a very aggressive campaign to increase the number of small, minority, and women-owned businesses in our database now that we are accepting MWBEs and goal setting for that as well. We have a very aggressive 35% for our small business program, and for our MWBE program, like the county, a very aggressive 30% aspirational goal has been set. So we've got our work cut out for us, but we can't do our work without you. So we really need you to get certified. Come in and have us help you virtually. If you need any assistance certifying, we're here and we're available. We need you to go in and make those changes to your profiles. That's very important. And one other thing that's really, really important that hasn't already been covered today is making sure that you have the right codes, so that when we have opportunities, and I mean we in the greater sense, all of us, you are notified, because if you don't have the right NIGP codes or NAICS codes, then you're not going to be notified on things that pertain to your specific expertise, and that is a missed opportunity. Also, part of certification that is really great and that is very, very beneficial is that you get a lot of things, even if you don't ever get a contract with one of our agencies. You will be invited to events like this through our chamber participations. We have partnerships with multiple chambers of commerce, and you'll be invited to participate in training efforts. And you will also be eligible to get invited to many of our outreach events and networking opportunities. And we are still doing those. They're not as much fun as they were when we were doing them in person, but we are making the best use of our time and doing things remotely. We're looking forward to getting back out into the community. I did want to touch on a few things that we are doing that were direct from the Disparity Study recommendations. And yes, we do have a disparity, and we are very aware of that, and we are taking steps to address that. And we we have a small business program. We've had a small business program since 2002, and it's been successful, but there's always room for improvement. There's always things that we can do better. So we are working really, really hard to do that. We also are looking, we hired another analyst so that we can track from beginning to end all of the contracts with small business and MWBE goals. So we're taking a lot of steps. Otis mentioned unbundling. So we're doing that, strengthening the organization, support. And recently the Port Houston created a Office of Business Equity, and part of our roles and responsibilities are, of course, to lead the efforts with MWBE and SBE programs. And then the other half of our division will be the DEI initiatives internally and externally as well. So we're excited about that. And Maxine Buckles was named Chief Business Equity Officer. So I wanted to congratulate her, and you all will get an opportunity to meet with her later. She's actually getting ready for the Asian Chamber event today, and I know several of us are participating in that as well. So in addition to, we're also looking, and we did this before, but we're looking at our contracts, contract by contract, to set specific goals. I think for me, the most important thing to stress today is that we need you to certify. Once you're certified with any of the 8 agencies that we accept certification from, ours is easy. It's a one-pager. It's your signature and attesting to your net worth if you're a small business. And we've really extended the number of certifications that we accept. And we encourage you to please register with us so that we can get you the information you need to do business with us. I am very excited about our upcoming training opportunities, so I do want to share that with you all very quickly. I know we're short on time. So one of the things that we're going to be doing is a construction contract college with Mccarthy. And so we have joined partnership with them. We're also working very closely with Ascend Houston to do skill and capacity building training. We've extended and made changes to Port University, and now it is called Opportunity U. So we're excited about that change. And then we're working with Tellefson Construction as well. One of Tellefson's strategic plans includes assisting minorities to get to be ready to do that work and be pre-qualified. And so we're working with them, and they will be providing lists to us of all of the people that have graduated with their program as well, and we'll be introducing them. We're going to be working with our mentor protege program very closely as well. And of course, we'll continue to be partners with the interagency mentor protege program. So I hope that is what you were looking for, Tico, and that's helpful to everyone.
It is, Gilda. Thank you so much. And we do have some questions in the Q&A, but before we get to that, I do want to ask Pamela, because I don't want to miss the opportunity to let us know what's going on at Harris County as far as small business support.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. So we at Harris County, it's recognized how hard it's been this past year for small businesses, and the Commissioner's Court actually passed $30 million for a small business relief fund. This fund is being administered by Lift Fund. They're a nonprofit business development and lending organization that's been in Texas for almost 30 years. And so we're really excited to partner with a group that really cares about small businesses in the community. Just to tell you a little bit more about it, there are a couple of info sessions that are coming up if you want to learn more details. The next one is on Monday, September 13th at 6 p.m., as well as Thursday, September 23rd at 12 p.m. This is just information sessions, just so you can learn more about the eligibility and the prioritization for the fund. The actual application itself will open on Monday, September 20th, and close on October 4th. And this is really important because we're not making this a first come, first serve kind of fund. Again, this is recognizing that business owners are really busy and it takes some time to pull together the documentation that's needed. And we want to make sure this is as fair as possible. So you don't have to feel like you have to like rush to get into the queue. In terms of eligibility, this is for businesses located within Harris County. If you go to the fund website, Harris Business Relief, you can click on a map to see if your business is located in Harris County. It's targeted to businesses on the smaller side, 30 or fewer employees, and that were in operation at the time the pandemic started hitting, so April 2020. In terms of prioritization, the fund is gonna prioritize folks by ownership, prioritizing minority and women-owned businesses, as well as veteran-owned businesses, kind of weighing in how much financial support the business had in the past, as well as things like the employee count, the industry and the amount of impact it had, and the social vulnerability of where the business is located. So like I said, if you're interested in learning more, check out the website. It's harrisbusinessrelief.org. And also, if anyone is not as comfortable with doing an online application or just wants to work with someone more in person to collect their documents, Lift Fund also has partnered with 6 community-based organizations around Harris County, so someone can actually just make an appointment and go in and work with someone. Thank you.
That's great, Pam. Great. We have quite a few questions, so I'll get to as many as I can, and some of them I'll sum up because a lot of you are asking, how do you connect and register for these programs? What we'll do is we'll send you something after with a link so that you can register with Harris County, Metro, and all of those various programs. Or, you can actually just do a simple, Google search Metro program, and all of them have very comprehensive websites. So we will make sure to provide information to everyone who's asked on how you can sign up with each of these programs. We have a question, and I'm just going to say the question, and then I guess whichever one of you feel comfortable, just jump up and grab it. So I started my business in Louisiana, but now I am opening up a phlebotomy company center here in Houston. Where would I file to update my business information? And I'm looking for guidance to make sure I have all the right legal status for my business. That actually, I don't know if Colette, that might be something you could answer. It's
only partially.
Okay.
In this sense that certainly you will need to create some type of corporate structure. In Texas, these things just don't sort of automatically transfer like that. Excuse me, and I am not a Texas licensed lawyer, so I can't give you too much advice about that. But what I might suggest you do is to contact one of the small business centers, and they can help to walk you through what type of licenses you're going to need from the state of Texas. You may well need a doing business license from the city. I don't know, but I would go to one of the small business centers. I believe the city has one. There's also the Procurement Technical Assistance Centers. That's more government focused, but you might be able to get some assistance from them. But I would save myself bouncing around from place to place and contact one of those business assistance centers that can walk you through what you're going to need to do.
You know what? And that's a good point, Colette. I know that the Office of Business Opportunity with the city, they have all kinds of references that will tell you what licenses you need, what taxes. So I would suggest that you reach out to the Office of Business Opportunity, Dr. Portia Jackson. She'll actually be on a different panel, but that office can help you determine what you need to be set up as a legitimate business in the state of Texas. So thank you very much for that. Let's see if we can get another question. We are new to the government contracting. I was hoping someone can let me know what we are doing wrong. We are a MBE, DBE hub certified. I keep hearing about the opportunities for small businesses, but for some reason don't see these opportunities. It's a little bit more lengthy, but I'll stop it at there because I think that's the gist of it. And I will throw it out to anybody to answer, but I will say one of the important things, and obviously this is anonymous, so we don't know what you're doing, but Gilda hit on a very good point about ensuring that you have the right codes, and you also have to make sure that you're registered. And it's very bizarre, but when you certify and vendor registration are two different processes. So if you get certified, that doesn't automatically register you as a vendor. So it sounds as though you might need to follow up with maybe one of the certifying agencies. So you have a MBE, maybe you can reach out to them and just, speak to someone directly. And I will acknowledge and say, I think we are so lucky in Houston. We have such a caring advocates for our businesses, whether it's, Dr. Portia and her team with the city, Sharonda with Metro, Pam and her team, Gilda and her team. The folks are here. So if you're not getting anything, just reach out to someone. Is what
you said it well. We don't know what industry or work she's in, but you said it absolutely right. I want to encourage anyone who's in business, make sure you do your homework. We don't want you shooting blind. Do your homework by looking at each of our agencies to see if you're a fit, number one. Mm-hmm. Number two, make sure you're registered as a vendor, and then make sure you're certified with us. Certification doesn't mean you're going to get the opportunity, and you don't have to be certified to do business with Metro, but as a small business, we encourage that. At Metro, we place a 35% small business goal on all eligible contracts. And so just do your homework, make sure you're looking and doing business where you fit. So just want to encourage you
to add to that as well. Sharonda, that was great. And Colette, you did a great job of answering the question. Again, we don't know what business you're in, so we're at a disadvantage, but I will say, send your capability statement to someone in any of these organizations so that we can share that. Let's just say you're in engineering, we can share that with our engineering staff and make them aware of your capabilities. And then also we can set up meetings where we can mentor you and talk to you about your opportunities. So take advantage of the staff that's at all of these great agencies. That's what we're here for. And we really want to help everyone. One last thing is I want to say is don't try to be all things to all people. If you are in one group, really focus, on that industry and make sure that you sharpen your pencil and that you do the things that you need to do. Do your homework, as Sharonda said, so that when you come, I've had vendors come in and say, well, I can do, 10 things. And I'm like, we need to narrow that down. Let's focus on what your expertise really is. Get your foot in the door. Make sure that you have a great foundation, because sometimes people are, trying to do too many things and they end up not doing some things as great as they should. And then that gives people a bad reputation, unfortunately. So I always encourage everyone, be good at what you're doing, sharpen your pencil, try to keep it focused, at least at the beginning, so that you can get your foot in the door. So thank you all. I hope that's helpful.
Yeah. The only other thing I just want to add one other thing too, is, and again, without knowing what industry this person is in, it's kind of shooting blind for us. But depending on what you do, you may get the vast majority of your work as a subcontractor, which means you're going to have to go and find those primes to network with, I think sometimes people think that they get certified and stuff's just going to fall in the door, and it doesn't work like that. So let's say that you're in landscaping or some type of construction trade. You really are going to need to get in touch with those prime contractors, market yourself to them. Yes, they have to do the outreach and the good faith efforts, blah, blah, blah. But if you want to get work, you're going to have to chase it. And there's just kind of no shortcut for that. So depending on what industry you're in, that might be really where your market is with other larger firms as opposed to the agencies themselves.
That is a perfect segue to the end of our discussion and the next one. Our next panel will begin in 10 minutes, and we're going to discuss how to market your business to government and corporate. So thank you, Colette, for that cue up. And we're going to take a short break. And again, I just want to thank this amazing panel of women. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a wonderful weekend. And Carol, I'll turn it over to you for the introduction of our sponsor moment.
Okay, thank you, Tico, and thank you to all of these wonderful women for joining us today and giving us so much great information. We hope that you took some great notes, and I'll be checking in to make sure that you have been as we move along today's program. Right now, I would like to introduce Ms. Veronica Douglas with Houston Community College. Houston Community College has been a great supporter of the Chamber over the years, and we thank them again for sponsoring this event today. Veronica?
Thank you, Carol. And we are excited to sponsor this event, the second annual Procurement Expo. We're a big supporter of the Chamber. I hope that everyone walks away today with the transfer of knowledge that you receive. Please retain it. I hope that you have a better understanding of diversity certification and why it's important to your business. This morning's panelists were amazing. I am so excited to hear that our other partners in the community are doing more to have business participation by our minority businesses. HCC is moving to a procurement platform called Bonfire, which is also going to be an advantage to you. I'll leave that information in the chat box. There's going to be a lot of opportunities coming for your business. So please enjoy the rest of your morning as you learn how to market your business to government, because you're going to need that when you come at us. Learn a lot from the technology panel, and please also take advantage of learning how you can grow your business globally. And again, thank you, Carol, and to the participants for today. And we are always here to support you.
Good job.
Thank you so much, Veronica. And we look forward to continuing to work with HCC and making sure that our members know all about your opportunities. So everyone, we'll see you back in just a few minutes. Thank you.
Good morning and welcome back to our second panel, How to Market Your Business for Government and Corporate Opportunities. I would like to take a moment to introduce the moderator for this session, Ms. Kira Hardwick. Kira Renal is the founder and managing consultant of the Kira Company, LLC, an operations and business development focused consulting firm founded in 2015. She is an author, speaker, and consultant who possesses highly developed strategic and analytical skills with the ability to train and or implement on multiple levels. Kira has established the ability to identify opportunities for profit protection, as well as opportunity to increase efficiency within the infrastructure of an organization, leveraging people, process, and profitability. Kira is an award-winning corporate and nonprofit management leader with exceptional customer service and operational management skills and an expertise in operational leadership. She is an effective communicator with a knack for developing cohesive and productive teams. She is experienced in the development of both process and policy. Kira's cross-functional experience provides a broad spectrum approach to addressing opportunities within an organization, creating a delicate balance between people and process. Kira serves as Interquad's global co-CEO, as well as its chief operating officer. She will be responsible for design and implementation of business operations procedures and establishing policies that promote the company's culture and vision. Thank you so much, Kira, for agreeing to moderate today. I am so excited for this panel. And with that, I will just turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Tico, and good morning, everyone. It is an absolute pleasure. The panel that preceded absolutely had me in full note-taking procedures over here. I have captured the notes. I understand the growth, and I'm excited about it and excited to have this conversation today. As we talk about what it takes and some tips specifically around marketing your business to corporates and to the government. And so we have some amazing panelists. I will not hold you by any formality. I want you to understand who is going to be coming to you and what exactly you have an opportunity to really hear and learn more about. So I'm excited about it. And I'm going to introduce our panel. I'll tell you a little bit about each of them, and then we're going to jump right into questions. And just as we did in the previous panel, any questions that you have, please place them in the chat. We will do our best to get to them and provide the necessary follow-up. So I'm excited. Thank you, Chamber, Greater Houston Black Chamber, for always making sure that we have access to information that really does make a difference in our business. So I'd like to introduce Maya Ingram, our statewide hub program manager, statewide procurement division of controller of public accounts. Susan Repco, founder of SMR Business Services. Joel Smith, principal at I-3029 Lyron Consulting. Dr. Portia Jackson, a business development manager, the City of Houston's Office of Business Opportunity. And Angela Friedman, senior director of corporate services, Houston Minority Supplier Diversity Council. I'd like to introduce all of them to you. I am excited. Let me change my view to make sure that I can see their faces. Very good. Very good. Excited to have them. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Maya. I'm going to kick off some questions, but I do want you to understand what it is that their skill sets are so that you'll understand exactly what types of questions to ask and what it is that you should seek their services and or their insight on. So Maya, I'm going to ask you to just briefly share with the audience what it is your area of expertise covers and what individuals should reach out to you to learn more about or to engage on.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me. And I apologize for not putting my camera on, but I'm still working from home. My internet's acting up, so I'm keeping this so that I stay on. So I'm the manager of the statewide hub program. And what we do is we certify the qualified small businesses in the state of Texas as hubs so that you can participate in the state's procurement process as a hub. We're not a set-aside program. The state does require good faith effort, however, so that's the door into opening the small businesses in the state procurement. Knowing how all of that works makes it easy for the small businesses to get in there and fight with all those big companies to get some of those awards.
Thank you, Maya. Thank you. Susan, I'll invite you to share. Susan Repco, president of SMR Business Services. You're muted, Susan.
All right, I have 24 years of experience working with small businesses. The last 3 years has been focused on helping small businesses gain access to government contracting. So working with them through the certification process, as well as responding to RFPs, RFQs, in order to win that business.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. Jewel, I'll invite you, principal at I-3029 Lyron Consulting.
Thank you so much, Kyra. I am just so excited first to be here. So my specialty is harmonizing diversity strategies in rhythm with market success. And I do that on the corporate level. I do that on the private level. And I'll also do it with small businesses. So I bring to this panel and really to this passion, two sides of the coin. I've spent a lot of time on the corporate side in supply diversity, and I now have my own small business that I do consulting in terms of diversity, supplier diversity, DE&I, as well as capacity building and all of those aspects. But I also wear a third hat. So from the nonprofit side, I'm very involved with the Women's Business Enterprise Alliance, the Women's Business Center. And in that role, I serve as a business consultant, resiliency coach, and business growth. So if you're needing any expertise from the nonprofit, from the corporate, or from the private side, then that you can call on me.
Thank you, Jewel. And I will say, Jewel, you're going to have me rethink my statement of differentiation, because harmonizing diversity strategies in rhythm with market success, you all just imagine how this really does pan out for small businesses as we really learn how to differentiate ourselves. I love that. Dr. Portia Jackson, I'd like to invite you, the Office of Business Opportunity. You are our Business Development Manager for the City of Houston's OBO office. We'd love to hear from you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm glad to join this great panel. And please excuse any background noise that you may hear. So with the Office of Business Opportunity, I'm tasked with, and I truly enjoy, is just really making sure that our small businesses have the resources that they need to grow. And so our office does certification. We also do compliance, making sure that those contracts that have those certification goals on it are being followed through. And then we also have business development programming. So I'm here to be like the person that holds your hand, your navigator, that guides you through doing business with the City of Houston and just in business in general. So my expertise comes in those areas.
Thank you, Dr. Portia Jackson. Angela Freeman, our Senior Director of Corporate Services at Houston Minority Supplier Diversity Council.
Hello, good morning, everyone, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to participate on this panel with these awesome women. So my role with the Houston Minority Supplier Development Council as the Senior Director of Corporate Services is facilitating relationships between our certified MBEs and our corporate members. The Houston Minority Supplier Development Council provides the certification for ethnic minority-owned businesses, and we also have a membership of major corporations. So we help our minority-owned business to grow their company through development programs. We help them to achieve contracting opportunity by facilitating relationships with our corporate members. I have over 24 years experience in supply diversity. I worked with the council for over 21 years, and I also worked with MGM Resorts International for 4 years as the manager of supply diversity, which gave me an opportunity to see both sides of this coin. So I have experience on the procurement side, as well as working on the nonprofit side for supply diversity. So I look forward to working with you all.
Thank you so much, Angela. And everyone, as you can see, there is a great deal of insight and literally industry view that we have not all been privileged to. So I love the fact that we have a beautiful panel of information, a beautiful panel of intel to share with you all, and want to really jump right in to how important it is to properly market yourself to not only corporations, but also to the government. And we're going to talk about some of the differences as well. So I'd like to start with you, Dr. Portia and Maya, to ask you about maybe your top 5 tips. What are some do's and some don'ts when marketing your business to the government? Anything you'd like to share, Dr. Portia?
Sure. For the top 5, I don't know if it might be 5, but one thing I would really want to address is that folks to insert yourself. So being involved in working with the government is a process. And so you want to make sure that you are attending the events that the various government agencies have. They have programs, that you're going to those programs because each time they have a program, they are telling you how to do business with their particular agency, and you need to know that. And not only is it telling you how to do business with that particular agency, but it's getting your face out there so that those agencies are familiar with you. They're familiar with your personality. No matter what, you can have the greatest business, but it's all about relationships, and you got to have somebody, if they know that you are really passionate and you have the know-how and you've gone through the programs, they're definitely going to look out for you and give you tips and provide, those little nuances, those advice that you're going to need when you're trying to do business with their agency. And also when there's opportunities to do business with other agencies, because we're all close and we all work together and we become familiar with those various companies. Another thing I would say is to make sure that you are always attending pre-bid conferences. That's super, super important. I can definitely tell you that, especially with working with the city of Houston. Anytime you see that there's an opportunity, whether you want to be the sub or the prime, you need to attend that pre-bid conference. Let the buyer know who you are. Also, be in front of those prime contractors and other subcontractors, because it's all about building your network. And then also doing research. Just wanting to do business is not good enough. Which government agency? You have to also know your business. What can you provide to that government agency? Does that government agency even purchase something that you have? So you want to be diligent in knowing your value, your business, and what you can provide, but also who you want to work with. What certifications does that agency accept? You have to know all of that, so then when you're put in a room or face to face with a buyer or someone from that agency, you can run off what your business does, how your business can provide a good or a service that's better than what's being offered at that time for that particular agency, and why they should work with you. And then also knowing who those buyers are, and even if it's not the buyers, knowing that one contact person that you can say, hey, I'm interested in doing business with the city of Houston. I looked at, this, that, and the other, and I feel that I can offer this. Who can you connect me with so that I can talk to them and find out more, and also get ahead of that, know about the various events. They have various procurement events where you get to be in front of the buyer. So you want to be able to know about those things, and also to know the patterns of their buying habits. And when those projects or those opportunities are coming down the pipeline, don't just sit there and wait for them to send you an email and say, hey, we got a bid available. You should be knowing, like, oh, I know a bid is coming soon, because you want to be able to have that time to respond to it and get your package together to really respond to that. And so I'm sure that was 5 all in there.
It was. I captured them. And you started off by saying, insert yourself into attending, participate in the event, attend the pre-bid conferences, do your research so that you understand what you can, and know your business, right? Know what certifications those agencies or those organizations accept. And then know the buyer, connect and engage, and get ahead of the opportunities so that you understand what their buying habits are and know when those bids are coming. So you really did lay that foundation very firm for us, Dr. Portia. Thank you for that. Maya, I'd love to invite you to provide us with your top 5 or more tips on do's and don'ts.
Dr. Jackson has really laid out a great platform. So that's very similar to what I was going to say. My top 5 are going to be certify, educate yourself. You want to network, you want to do business development by making sure what the hub resources are. And then when you combine all of that together, prepare yourself to present yourself to the agencies and universities that really are the ones that you should be targeting. And those are in the tools. So let me start with certification. Again, certification is so important to identify you as a small minority business in the state of Texas to do business with the state of Texas. The state of Texas doesn't do set-asides, but we do good faith effort. And our hub coordinators are there to be your liaison with the agencies and universities to help you get introduced to the right people, to set you up with your certification profile. We use NIGP codes. And so making sure that you have the proper NIGP codes on your profile, that's how purchasers will find the vendors. One of our big top resources is a centralized master bidders list. That's considered the state's vendor list. However, it's not a vendor list that provides endorsements. So it's up to you to go and introduce yourself, network with those agencies, with other vendors, attend pre-bids, but prepare yourself to be capable, ready, and able to do business with the state of Texas. Educating yourselves on the procurement process. We provide lots of education on how the process works. What are the different thresholds? How to define the different agencies and universities that purchase the types of products or services that your business provides. It's really important to prepare a capability statement that describes you best for that one agency or university, and not just prepare a capability statement that's trying to encompass every single university and agency, because everybody has a different mission. They have different purchasing needs, and you want to make sure that you're researching those agencies and universities to target them correctly so that you pop up and show them your capabilities, and they see it and say, oh, we've got this project and they could work in here, and we've got this project coming up, we need these products. And so presenting yourself with your capabilities and introducing yourself to the hub coordinator and getting into those hub forums where you can meet the purchasers, it gives you the opportunity to present yourself, let them know who you are, and sell yourself so that they're not purchasing blindly from anybody. Our hub resources are on our webpage. There's the centralized master bidders list. There's the electronic state business daily. There's the hub coordinators list that provides you those contacts to start. We have hub reporting. So we compile all of the state expenditure reports on a semi and annual basis. That gives you an insight to exactly what those agencies and universities are purchasing. So knowing how to go through those reports and figure out where you fit in is part of what we provide in training. So I think I've touched on 5. I probably touched on more.
That was phenomenal. And so I'm just going to kind of give everybody a chance to soak that in, because what we just received was probably a masterclass in about 3 minutes. And, you know, really building on that, I'm going to ask Susan, you know, one of the things that I know that business owners are challenged with, and then Joel, I'm going to bring the same question to you, is creating a capability statement that really does serve their business well. And Maya spoke to it, and it really kind of started with what Dr. Portia said, like really understand what they buy so that you can present properly. And so I'm going to ask you a question, Susan. You know, one of the pain points as a business owner is creating a capability statement, and I need 7 of them, 12 of them. How many do I need? What does it look like? There's so many different ways I can say the great things that I do, but I want to say it right. What's your advice to business owners that are really trying to master the capability statement, you know, process, which is the first thing that they see typically before they even meet us? What would you say?
There's a lot of elements that go into a capability statement. The first one, you know, because a very important one is your value proposition. So part of what you're doing through this process is researching, you know, that government entity that you want to do business with, understanding their needs, and then sort of taking your value proposition and saying, okay, how can I help this entity, whether I'm going to provide, you know, faster service, whether I'm going to have, you know, because I am a small business, I can respond on a, you know, more agile than a large corporation. You know, how are you going to help them? And then you know, most companies don't understand you can have multiple capability statements. So pick 3 or 4 core services that you want to provide for that entity and really focus on those and really create that value add so that when they're looking at your snapshot of your company, they say, oh, they're going to help our organization do, you know, A or B. And just really, you know, we just looked at a capability statement that was 8 pages long. That is not a capability statement. So be focused, focused, but do your research when you put it together. Don't just make it generic, make it to that organization. Look at their RFPs, RFQs that they have out or that they've had in the past. What are they asking for? How can you get that sort of in that capability statement to show that you have that insurance that they're asking for? You have the NIGP codes that they're asking for in that scope of work. So really kind of keep it focused. Focus.
Thank you, Susan. Jewel, I will ask you to add value to this conversation as well, because it is a challenge. What are your thoughts around how business owners can manage to focus, and really build a quality, capability statements that really do speak to their ability to serve an organization?
Well, thanks again, Kara. And you mentioned building a quality capability statement. Let me first say this, just as a resource. The Women's Business Enterprise Alliance, WBC, we do classes on capability statements. They are free for business owners who are trying to develop one. We will also have one-on-ones with you regarding capability statements. So what are you looking for in a capability statement? You are promoting yourself. When people can't see you, when you can't get through on the phone line, that capability statement is speaking for you. And as Susan has already mentioned, there's some criteria for that capability statement. One thing, you just want a one-pager. Nobody is going to comb through 8 and 10 pages. If you can't sell yourself with one page, it's like your elevator speech. If you can't do it in 1 minute, then maybe you have nothing that you can provide. So make sure that you capture your highlights, being things like your differentiators. What is setting you apart from the competitor? You got to be able to articulate that. So how do I say that in my one-pager? How do I back that up with my past performances? And making sure that you have your right codes that are on that statement are some of the highlights. So we can talk about that probably in another forum, but I just want you to know that there are resources out there, and it's not only WBEA, other organizations have it as well. Take advantage of those resources available to you.
Excellent. Thank you, Jewel. And we've heard codes. So let's go back and refresh, review, and make sure we've got the appropriate codes. If you were going through the certification process 2-3 years ago, your codes may have changed. You may need to modify, update, and increase your capabilities by using the codes that make the most sense for you. Angela, I'm going to come to you with this next question. And my question is, understanding the difference between marketing yourself to corporates and to the government. Can you really help us understand what some unique ways are or methods to differentiate the marketing strategy for a business that's going direct to a corporate and going direct to a government agency? I'm going to ask you that question. Then Jewel, I'm actually going to come back to you for more insight on that. But can you please open us up on that, Angela?
Okay, thank you. So with government agencies, there is a mandate of making sure that they have goals on their contracts and they're interacting with small and minority-owned businesses. On the private side with corporation, there is not a mandate. It is an initiative. Now, some corporations make sure that it is in their policy and that is in their procurement process. But when marketing to a corporation, it's about relationships. You have to build relationships, which is most important. And how do you build those relationships? Just as the lady spoke earlier, as making sure that you have a clear and concise capability statement. Know your industry, know your business. So when you're marketing to a corporation, you need to understand who your client is. Do your research, go to the website, Look at their social governance. That lets you know what their strategy is, where they're going, how they are interacting with the community, and where their diversity diversity initiative internally and externally. Look at industry articles. Know what's going on within that industry. And most time a corporation will be highlighted within those articles on where they're going or where their pain points may be. Look at the stock market. You want to see, are their stocks going up? Are they going down? That kind of lets you know how the business is going for that particular company and may give you an idea where some of their pains is or where you can interact in those pain. So please do your research. And then once you approach those corporations, as the lady spoke about, be very concise and focus on what your business is. Every corporation is different. So you cannot market all your services to one corporation if you cover multiple industries. So make sure you're targeted to your client and what you provide. On the corporate side, on the government side, you can see their procurement opportunities on their website. It's sometimes publicized, or it's within their database, or they send you emails if you register with those agencies. Corporations do not do that. Their things are not posted. So it's about building that relationship again. Utilize your resources that are available. Organizations that you associate with. It's very important to be engaged in your industry associations. That's where you're going to meet individuals beyond a supply diversity component. You may meet a buyer there, a business development person there, a salesperson, and those are individuals that you want to build relationships with, that they understand what your value proposition is, and then they can take it back to the appropriate individuals, or they can even make a reference if when the bid goes out to ensure that you include it on that bid. So you want to build relationships with individuals within your industry. Utilize your resources, such as the Houston Minority Supply Development Council. We are affiliated or partnered with all of the agencies that are presented in this conference. We work with them very closely. Once you're certified with HMSDC, you're also certified as a state hub. So we streamline that process. We also help you with your certification with the City of Houston. We have to streamline that process because there's so much paperwork going on. So all the agencies, we did come together and try to figure out how can we make it easy for our minority and small businesses. In some cases, we were able to do that. In some cases, we were not. But we worked together to ensure that we can provide you the resources of growing your business. Also with the council, we help with the development of your company, which is very important. We help you to build capacity in areas where there may be little to no minority participation. Through our organizations with our corporate members, we facilitate the relationship, going back to relationship, which is my job. I assist with organizing meetings between our corporate members and our MBEs. Most time is a supply diversity person that you would meet with. Utilize these individuals. Do not try to discount them. They are gatekeepers, because I was one of those gatekeepers, but I also realized that if you build a relationship with a supply diversity individual, they're the ones that are advocates internally to get you to speak to the right individuals. So you want to make sure that if you're working through the council with our members, that they understand who you are, the products and services that you can provide to them in their industry. Then we will request to have that internal client meeting. Once you get in front of that internal client, that value proposition is very important. You need to convey it very concisely so they know what makes you different from your competitor. That's your value proposition. When you're writing it, you want to know what makes me different from my competitor. Because most times those contracts that you're going after are already in place, and they're already working with a supplier that they desire to move forward with. So what makes you different? Why should I bring you into my organization? rather than moving forward with a company that I know. So it's building the relationships before that contract comes down the pipeline. And when that contract comes down the pipeline and you include it, you want to make sure that they know what makes you different and why you're the best pick for that product or services.
Angela, thank you. I have notes upon notes. You all have been, I hope everyone is taking notes. I know Carol said she's going to be checking in with you all throughout this day, but you all, there is so much information literally being laid at our feet, you know, for us to really process. And so I encourage you as a small business owner, to my fellow small business owners, to really lock in and really do your due diligence. And we've heard some very specific themes in this conversation. And so, Joel, I'm going to come to you and ask you around the idea of positioning or marketing yourself to a government entity. You know, what does that look like? We just heard from Angela, and she really opened up the vein for us around what it takes to really lock in and connect with a corporation and how you dig a deeper root. And I'm going to ask you to do the same and help us understand how to differentiate. One thing I heard her say was, you know, corporations have initiatives. And a government entity may have a mandate or has a mandate. That's a very different approach to why they would say yes to a business that has a minority status. So Joel, if you could open that up for us, that'd be great.
And I'm going to do this, caller, in a slightly different way.
Certainly.
Because I'm going to talk about it. I've spent years, wonderful years at Centerpoint Energies. So, and that was a corporation that not only had a private, but it also had a government. So there are corporations that have dual roles. They will have a supply diversity initiative, and they'll also have a government initiative. So I'm going to say the things that are the same. And Angela, thank you for laying that out so plainly and so clearly. When a corporation or a government entity is looking at a supplier, they are looking for a reason to say, why would I displace who I have and go with someone new? You got to be able to answer that question. Keep in mind, this is a new environment. We've got pandemics. We have companies and government entities that don't have enough staff now. People who've decided, I am not going back to that corporate office. They want me to come in now. I am working from home, so you're not going to be able to reach them as much. So what is the incentive to change? You've got to bring that as your differentiator. What makes them want to go from company X to you? So that's the first thing. And that comes in with your innovation. What can you bring to the table that's different? That's on the corporate side, that's on the government side. It does not matter. They are both buying entities. They want the best. So what is your innovation? And innovation doesn't always have to be something new. It could just be a different way of doing something, that's better. So what are you bringing to the table? What's going to make them change their mind? The other thing that they are interested in, what are your safety procedures? Everyone is very concerned about safety. They were before, but even now with pandemic, there are new requirements. Are you prepared? Can you address that? Can you guarantee the safety, how you're going to operate within their guidelines? So things are changing. You're going to have to come knowing that these are going to be expectations and be prepared to speak to them because they are going to happen. What are your cybersecurity? What do you have around cybersecurity? We are now, as we think of even approaching 20 years of 9/11, there is nothing safe anymore, but you've got to show I have set my business up such that I am a tool for you to be safe. And I operate in a safe procedure. And here are my safety requirements. And I do have something around cybersecurity, protecting not only me, but you as my client. So sustainability. Now, Angela mentioned researching and looking at the corporate responsibility statements that are online and looking at all of the the SEC requirements. When you go and you start researching a company, because people ask, Joel, how do you research a company? Well, you start by going first to the website. You start by looking at the SEC. You start by looking at the annual report. You start by looking at the CSR. You start by looking at the About Me on the website. You do all of that. You read your Wall Street journals. You look at the TV. You do everything that you do with research. Research is research, and you understand. I love what the famous hockey player, was that Steve, or that Wayne Gretzky, whatever his name is, he says, I do not skate to where the puck, I skate the way the puck is going, not where it's been. So a lot of times when we're trying to get business, we're trying to approach it based on what has been. And you need to approach it as to what is coming up. When you come to a corporation and you're trying to get business, say, oh, I see you in my front yard working on this and I can do this. You're 2 years too late. Those contracts were put in place long ago. You've got to skate to where it's going, not to where it is now. So those would be the kinds of things and the kinds of attitudes that you need to have. And an astute small business, it doesn't matter about your size, because you can either do a strategic alliance to be able to get contracts on both sides. And if you have the value add that they're looking for, then they will gladly bring in a small supplier if you can do the job that they are looking for. And the last thing I'm going to say very quickly, just a shout out to HMSDC, to WBEA, and to Susan as she does things in her private role as well. When a corporation gets a recommendation from HMSDC, WBEA, or people like Susan Repco and say, you know, hey, we think this would be someone that you should consider, they listen to that. Because that means that this is a certified supplier. You must be certified, we'll say that. And there is some value that others have seen. So they're going to give you a closer look just because that recommendation came from HMSDC, WBEA, or people like Susan Repco. Thanks.
Joel, thank you again. I'll share my notes. You just need to inbox me. I will share my notes with you all. But if you are really thinking this through, I'm going to go right to Dr. Portia, and I hope you could feel that pivot coming your way, because what we're hearing, you know, once we have these relationships, and as we're preparing to really get in the door with the agencies, and I'm going to ask you from the City of Houston's perspective, what are the things we need to do business and to dig deeper roots with the City of Houston specifically? And how do you all help us do that as small businesses? How do you help us navigate the infrastructure?
Yes, so definitely we're here to help to navigate, and me, that's really part of my job, is to help folks navigate, because the city is huge. There's a lot of different departments and we're all working in our own silos, right? And so it can be hard. And so what I'm here to do is to really help you to navigate. So we're going to look at your business. I'm going to look at your business. We're going to talk about your goals, make sure that you've done the research to make sure that, one, that you are ready to do business with the government, and that you have the value proposition, but also let's work out a strategy. I'm always a proponent, there's no need to reinvent the wheel. If you see somebody that's done it, and let's talk about how you can come in as a subcontractor with your certifications and how you can go through there, and also who is buying, and really just studying it. To me, it all goes back down to the research and just really finding that, and then looking at what the government buys. So if you're talking about doing business with the city, definitely you want to be certified. You want to get certified in all of the areas that you qualified for, and because that's going to open the doors and give you that leverage. But also really with the City of Houston, get involved in our programming, because our programming is building you up to do business with the City of Houston. It's also putting you in front of the folks that are buying. A lot of times conversations are had and you get to hear about, oh, I didn't know the city does that. I didn't know the city is looking for someone for that. And just being involved in knowing what's available and getting involved in those programs help you to know more about the city and doing business with the city, making sure that you're a registered vendor. And like you said before, keeping your NIGP codes and those NAICS codes updated. because that's how we notify people when we have opportunities. And so really for those folks who are interested in doing business with the city of Houston, I do encourage you to reach out to me. We can definitely sit around some time and some strategy for you to go after the city of Houston and make sure that you have the resources that you need and that you build your company, your business to be ready to do business with the city of Houston, because there's a lot of things that go into going after the bid and a lot of vetting that goes with that. And so we want to make sure that you're not just going blindly because you felt the moment and you want to do business with the city, but you have not done the research. But I'm here to help you, to guide you through that. We want you to succeed. Our office wants you to succeed. We have various resources. We can connect you with what you are missing so that you can get prepared to do business with us.
That's tremendous. And so thank you for that. And Dr. Portia, you mentioned programs that the city has that individuals should get involved in if they're going to really want to do business and really learn what the city is buying. Can we find all of those programs on the website? Is there anything in particular we need to do to make sure we have access to them?
Absolutely. If you go to our website, which is houstontx.gov/OBO, that is our webpage. And if you go to the business, I think it says business development programs, click on there, you will see all of our business development programming. You see that we do have programming that works directly with various other government agencies as well as private sector too. And so we're here to make sure that you have that well-rounded acumen so that you're ready to do business with whomever, and we can make sure that we get you prepared to do that. So if you go to that website, business development programs, and you'll see all the programs that we have there, as well as you'll see my lovely face right there with my contact information, and you can reach out to me and we can definitely sit down and have a one-on-one.
Fantastic. We are going to move into, I think, the great and anticipated question and answer session. I have some questions here in the chat. I'm going to read a few of them out. We have answered quite a few of them directly, letting everyone know that the Chamber will provide the websites and the access to the agencies that have been mentioned by the panelists today. So don't think that you have missed out on that. I won't be reading those questions specifically, but I would like to read this particular question, and I'm going to direct it to, I would say probably Angela or Dr. Portia. And it says, what agency should an ERP, an enterprise planning and resource company, work with? We deal on SAP implementations, post-production support, business analytics, FP&A, budgeting, and planning. Your guidance would be appreciated. Any direction for the question?
Okay. Thank you for the question. So first, I'd like to ask if you're certified, and if you're not certified, I would request or suggest that you do get certified with HMSDC or any other organizations that fits your industry. One way of getting opportunities is, like I say, building a relationship for your targeted client. What corporation or government agency are you targeting? If it's a corporation, you want to be engaged with a corporate organization such as HMSDC. And if you're working on the government side, you want to be engaged with the state hub program of the city of Houston. So the certification is first. It is important. You have the resources, individuals like myself, Dr. Jackson Amara, that will help you through navigating through our programs in order for you to build relationships and gain information on contracting opportunities.
Thank you for that. Go ahead.
If I can just jump in there also, go to our website, purchasing.houstontx.gov. That will let you know the various opportunities that are available in that area. And actually, I encourage you to reach out to me. There's a couple websites that I can show you how to maneuver them and do your research to see. We do have opportunities in that area, but so we can kind of look at it and see when the next opportunity is going to come up, and also who has that contract, so that you can really begin to look at this person has this contract and begin to see what you can do to get that contract, how you vary from that person. So definitely check out that website, but I would just add that as well. Yes, we do do that, buy that particular service, and but we need to sit down and look at when we do that.
Fantastic.
If I could just
most government entities have a place where you can go in and look at past contracts or look at past purchases, look at past bids and who won them. So, several people have said, do your research. The great thing about doing work with the government is it's fairly transparent. Go to the procurement site, see what's out there. And, no one's going to tell you who the best person to do business with. It's up to you to go out and find who has bought your services in the past and when they bought them, because that'll tell you when that contract expires.
So if I can add to that, the Legislative Budget Board is the agency that's responsible for handling the state's budget for the different agencies and state universities that receive state funds. And so Susan's right, they have a search engine on their website that you can actually go and search those contracts. The other thing you can do is search or research the hub reporting, the hub expenditure report that I have on the statewide hub page. Going and looking at the detailed expenditure reports for each individual agency or university gives you an idea of who they're spending with and how much money they're spending with. So that can help you determine which agencies you should be targeting. So she's absolutely right.
Thank you, Maya.
If I can just interject real quickly. So you've heard from the government side, all that information is very transparent. But if you're interested on the corporate side where it's not so transparent, it's about identifying who you're interested in doing business with, building relationships, and becoming engaged with organizations such as HMSDC to help you to facilitate those relationships.
Thank you. And I'm going to add to that, Maya, you spoke to, the fact that we have hub coordinators available on the government side as well to really help us navigate the entities or the agencies and the universities. And I just want to make sure that is really very transparent, that they are there to support and serve the small businesses and the hub certified businesses through the process. Is there anything more that you'd like to share there before we wrap up?
So real quickly, yes, the state of Texas spent over $2.9 million with hubs in FY20. And at this moment, we have begun the process of compiling the new expenditures for FY21. Contact the hub coordinators. We have a hub coordinator list on the website on our statewide hub page. Contact those hub coordinators. There's a list of also purchasers, but use those hub coordinators as your liaisons to help you find out exactly what that agency is doing and if you are a fit for them.
Thank you very, very much. You all, an incredible amount of resources. And I encourage you to reach out to Angela, Susan, Dr. Portia Jackson, and Joel Smith and Maya Ingram to make sure that you really tap into the resources that are available to you. I see questions in the chat about, hey, do you have a sanitized capability statement? We want some examples. We need samples. You have access to these brilliant minds, these resources, these agencies. Please reach out to them and do make that a part of your research process. We heard some very really harmonizing themes. Research, make sure your coding is correct. Make sure that you have a variation of, of capabilities to present to the industry and the corporation or the government entity that you're really, really hoping to do business with, which is a representation of the research that you've done. So it all goes full circle. There's really no easy way out of it. If you want to do it well and do it right, follow the steps, as Jewel said, as she quoted the great Wayne Gretzky, let's go and shoot in the way and move in the direction of which the puck is going, not where it's been, so that we can be certain that we're on the path to continued success. I'd like to turn it back over to Carol Guest, and I certainly thank absolutely everyone for their time. Ladies, I certainly thank you for your brilliance that you've shared. I know for a fact you've made incredible impact today. I'm Kyra Hardwick with the Kyra Company, and I am thrilled to be or have been your moderator today.
Thank you so much, Kyra. And thank you to all of the wonderful ladies who served today on this panel. There was so much great information provided. And we like to add that the Chamber is also partners with each one of these people. So if you hit one of us, you're hitting all of us. And so we're all working together to make sure that you get as much access to every opportunity that is out there. So thank you again, Kyra. And I'd also like to mention, this is a point of personal privilege, that Kyra Hardwick is a Pinnacle Award winner. And you'll be hearing more information about the Pinnacle Awards coming up this October. So thank you again, Kyra, for your service. Thank you so much. And so now, before we take our break, we'd like to bring up Dr. Linnell Clark from the University of Houston. The University of Houston has been a long time and great supporter of the Greater Houston Black Chamber of Commerce. And she's going to talk with us for a little bit about their hub program. She is the director of hub operations, that's historically underutilized businesses for the University of Houston. Dr. Clark.
Thank you so much. And thank you, panelists, for the wonderful information. One thing that I wanted to share is the key takeaway is that even though we're a state agency and we're a university, we're all very different. We, number one, have diversified purchasing, meaning while you can contact the buyer, that probably might, for the University of Houston, might not be the best way to go about trying to find out about opportunities, because our 20-some individual colleges really make a lot of decisions at the college level, and they make purchases at that level. So the University of Houston has its own database. So it's important that you reach out to my office and let's see if you are a good match for us, because I know what we buy as well, and then determination of establishing a vendor profile in our database. So I just want to make sure people are aware of that all things are not the same, even though we are a state agency. And really pay attention to some of this good information. And the other takeaway is the CMBO, being a part of that is very important. Invest the money. A lot of times you may lose opportunities because buyers are using the CMBL. That means even though you're a hub and you may show up, but if you're not on the CMBL, you may not receive notification for our large procurements. So thank you for the time.
Thank you so much, Dr. Clark, for sharing that information regarding how our members can most effectively do business with the University of Houston. And so now we'd like to bring Ms. Gilda Ramirez forth to discuss opportunities that are happening at the port. Gilda.
Thank you, Carol, and thank you for the moment of privilege to speak to everyone about what we have going on at the Port of Houston. Before I do that, I just wanted to say what a great job you all have done today and really acknowledge all of the women that have presented. It's been very educational, so thank you all for doing this and for taking time out of your busy schedules. So we are putting out additional information. As I mentioned earlier, we are sharing that information with all of our partner organizations as well. And we just sent out a notice today on our upcoming procurements. So I encourage you to also visit our website and see what's available. There's too many to list, but I can tell you that we are very, very busy and continuing to seek opportunities for our small and MWBE vendors. So please visit our website. We've made a lot of changes to our landing page for our business equity program. It's very easy to go in and navigate that, and you can enroll if you're not enrolled in our B2G Now program, which is our small and MWBE database. You can also register on our BuySpeed database, which is our e-procurement system. And we're looking for small and MWBE businesses to join our program. And so I encourage you, if you have not enrolled with us, please do so and make sure that you have the right codes so that we can help you. And if you have any questions, we have a very committed staff that is here to assist you. So thank you. And I want to have a shout out to our commission and our leadership for their support of the Black Chamber and all of our partnering organizations and the Business Equity Program. So thank you all so much.
Thank you, Gilda. Thank you so much for that. The port has been very diligent in making sure that chamber members know what is going on with their new equity program. And Gilda Ramirez serves on our advisory board. So thank you, Gilda, for your service and for always making sure that we have the latest information about what's going on at the port and for sponsoring this event today. Thank you so much, Gilda.
Thank you. You all are one of our favorite groups and you always deliver for us as well. So thank you. Have a good day, everyone.
All right, everyone, we will take a quick break and reconvene here in a few minutes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for staying with us today. I know that we've provided a lot of information, and I hope you all are taking notes, but please also note that we will be emailing out to everyone who's registered a Expo resource sheet, and we will provide you with the contact information and all of the wonderful resources that were provided for you guys today. So I am so excited to move on to this next panel. We're going to have a tech discussion and why it's important for your small business. And I'm going to introduce our moderator for this panel, Ms. Shelby Mims. Shelby Mims is an accomplished public policy, communications, and engagement professional with extensive experience in the areas of local and county government affairs, civic engagement, and community development. Having spent the past 7+ years working in the public-private sectors, Shelby understands the importance of maintaining political and public awareness and is personally invested in helping enhance the quality of life for diverse communities throughout Texas. She is an innovative, resilient leader and an astute strategist skilled at crafting persuasive tactics that unite stakeholders around cohesive messaging, address public concerns, and produce positive results. Thank you, Shelby, for moderating today, and I'm going to turn it over to you.
Yeah. Well, hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be here with you guys. As Tico said, my name is Shelby Mims, and then I also serve as the co-chair with Angelique Bartholomew of the GHBC Advocacy and Policy Committee. So thanks so much. So thank you guys for joining us for the technology panel discussion. As business owners, understanding and utilizing technology is just critical for the growth and the sustainability for your business. So before we get into the discussion, I just want to introduce our wonderful, wonderful panelists. And then I just also want to note that if you guys have any questions, please type them in the chat box or the question and answer section, and we will definitely answer them at the end of our presentations. So first up, I will introduce Ms. Danae LaFleur. Danae serves as the Senior Director of Partnerships at the ION. Danae oversees the identification of strategically aligned partnerships and community engagements, as well as the development and management of relationships for the ION. She leads the ION team in planning and delivering events that cultivate positive and productive relationships and community engagements to meet the need of Houston's diverse community of entrepreneurs. Thank you so much for being with us today. Next up, I will introduce Mr. Darrell Norris, and he is the CEO of Fresh Tech. Mr. Norris was born and raised on the east side of Houston, Texas, and he left corporate America after 5 years as a developer and business relationship manager, and he currently serves as the CEO/FEO and founder of Fresh Tech Solutions, which is a tech firm geared towards increasing revenue and customer engagement through mobile apps and technology. Thanks so much for joining us. And then last but not least, we have Ramel Mitchell, the Director of Citizenship and Corporate Affairs at Microsoft. As the Director for Corporate Citizenship and Market Development, Ramel champions Microsoft's corporate social responsibility initiatives designed to drive innovation, digital equity, and the tech ecosystem development in communities across the central United States. So thank you guys so much for joining us this morning. Super excited about the conversation and just welcome everyone to the conversation. So Danae, we will kick it off with you. We are super excited that the ION officially opened this past spring. A lot of claps towards that. Can you just tell the audience more about the ION's mission and the many programming opportunities that you guys have rolled out?
Thank you, Shelby. Delighted to talk about the ION. Before I even begin that, I want to give a shout out to Microsoft and particularly Rebecca for his leadership. A lot of the opportunities that I'm going to discuss with you today are brought to you in part through the tremendous support and partnership that we have with Microsoft. And so we really appreciate them. I also want to shout out my other fellow panelist, Darrell Mitchell. He runs one of our monthly workshops at the ION called Perfecting Your Pitch. And it teaches you how to put together a fantastic pitch deck so that you can get investment for your business and other types of support for your business. So thanks to my fellow panelists for joining me today. The ION. It's a hub for innovation, entrepreneurship, and technology. And if anyone is thinking innovation, technology, that's not for me, why are they even on this panel today? I want to say that innovation and technology is indeed for everyone, and the ION is purposefully built to not be like some of those other innovation hubs in other cities where it's just not quite that diverse and they're not taking into account the demographics of their city. That's not what the ION is about at all. We want to have programming and opportunities for small businesses to be able to utilize technology to grow their business, in addition to upskilling opportunities where people can come and learn about different ways to get involved in technology. And of course, most of you are entrepreneurs. And so of course you fit into the entrepreneurship category automatically. So if you take nothing else away from what I said, the ION is in fact for you, and we're purposely making it so. So a little bit about what we have going on at the ION. If you're a small business owner, maybe you want to come to events and networking opportunities, or take advantage of some of our programs that talk about how to infuse the latest technology into your business. We also have a monthly e-commerce series with Kim Roxy, so that you can take your brick and mortar business and make it a brick and click business, or just simply, I see Carol like that. I got a smile from Carol. Brick and click business. Kim Roxy is a perfect example of that. She actually closed her brick and mortar and went solely to e-commerce, but you can have a hybrid option as well. Maybe you want to learn how to break into technology. We offer workshops in General Assembly that talk about the latest jobs in tech and what it takes to get there. It's not as high as barrier to entry as you might think. Or maybe you want to start a tech-enabled business and you have an idea, but you don't know where to go. Every month, we have an amazing brother, Keith Butler, who tells you exactly how you go about starting a startup. We also have an accelerator program specifically targeting women and minorities called DIV Inc. that can walk you through the process. And all of these things that I've mentioned so far are free of charge, or they'll be very small rates. We don't want to have high barriers to entry, but all the monthly workshops are free. My favorite program that we do is Family Tech Night. That is where we show the youth, but also with their families, what are the different career opportunities in technology? So if your child or your grandchild comes home and they're talking about gaming and I want to get into this, maybe the first answer shouldn't be, you better go down to Walgreens because they have jobs at $15 an hour and they have benefits. But if the whole family learns about what these different career paths are and the exact steps that it takes to get there and people who look like them who have achieved it, I think that'll increase our chances of success as a city of directing our young people into the high-paying jobs of the future. And so lastly, I'll talk about, just very briefly, we do have an Aerospace Innovation Accelerator program. We already ran one cohort. And if you think aerospace, that's not my business. It doesn't matter, because we're also looking for people in other businesses that can pivot to sell their types of products into the aerospace industry. So please stay tuned. I'll drop a link in the chat to our linked tree so that you can sign up for our newsletter. It just comes out on Mondays, and that way you can stay involved in what's going on. Thank you again to the Chamber and to Carol and Shelby as our moderator for giving me this opportunity.
And thank you so much for that. And thank you just for sharing the wealth of information and just all of the opportunities that, all of the opportunities and the possibilities at the ION. And please don't forget just to put your questions in the chat if you have any questions for any of our panelists. So next up, we have Mr. Durrell, and this question is for you. As a minority-owned tech firm, can you tell us what your firm does and the importance of technology for minority businesses?
Definitely, thank you. So yes, my company, Fresh Tech Solutions, has came a long way. We started about 4 years ago as a tech firm specializing in mobile app development. I want to create a company where I can get people that looks like me access to the same technology as these huge companies. If you ever Googled how much a mobile app costs, it's going to tell you about $100,000 to $200,000. And most companies that look like me can't afford that, and it's not in their budget. So we basically came up with a system where we can create these apps for under $10,000. Apps similar to the GHBC mobile app. Go download it, shameless plug, because we made that one too. So yeah, we can create these apps at a much lower price than the industry standard. But the problem was we kept getting all these businesses with these great ideas, businesses from the ION, with these wonderful ideas, and they come to us and they don't have the funding. That's the number one problem I'm seeing. They don't have the funding. I mean, I can make this app, but it's going to cost you $150,000, and then the idea is dead. So we're really, really pivoted with the new company called Deck Launch, where we do idea validation. So with this, we come in, we get a business or a startup idea, and they bring us, just a dream. That's all they have. It's just a dream. So we come in and we do all the research for them. We do the competition analysis, the go-to-market strategy, financial projections, the exit strategies, the market research, how we're going to market this thing. We take all of that into consideration, and we create this document called the pitch deck. So once we get that pitch deck, we have a group of investors, and if anybody's interested, we are still looking for more investors. But we have a group of investors that we pass our pitch decks to once a month. And if they like what they see, we can start the conversation. So we've been getting a couple of investments lately. Things are moving on the right track, and the hope is to go back to Fresh Tech and get the app developed. So it's kind of full circle. So right now we're just focusing on, we're still focusing on the business apps, because I still believe that those businesses need apps. So, we do anything from mobile detailing companies to tax companies to GHBCs, nonprofits. But we have another focus with startups, and that's why we're partnering with the ION so much. It just fits right in with us. So like I said, we're really trying to break these barriers that minorities are having, and we're just trying to do our part in that.
Well, thank you. And that is super exciting, and it's, like really exciting just to see that it works like full circle, that you guys are like working with the ION, and you heard him. So they are looking for people. So be sure to connect after this. So last but not least, this question is for Ramel. Ramel, we're super excited to have you with us this morning. Can you just tell the audience a little bit about Microsoft's corporate social responsibility initiatives overall, and specifically regarding technology?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's great being here with you today, virtually here. And this is an area that Microsoft has been in for quite some time as we think about corporate social responsibility. But more broadly, even when we think about our mission, and maybe I should start there and then go into some of the efforts that we have. So Microsoft's mission is to empower individuals and organizations across the planet to achieve more. Anyone that knows me knows that I probably start my day off probably by saying one of those words or that combination in terms of mission, particularly as we think about our engagement. And why is this important? When we think about this notion of empowerment, it means to help, to enable, to support, to allow others to reach their full potential, right? And what can we do in order to do that? And so when we think about our corporate social responsibility efforts, it's just that, making investments, identifying partnerships, driving programs and initiatives that will support the communities in which we live, work, and love. And so that's one of those areas that we continue to drive. So what does that mean as we think about this from a Houston standpoint? In other cities throughout Texas or other cities throughout the US, there are a couple of areas. When we think about our nonprofit organizations, we have an initiative focused on technical support, or a TSI initiative, which focuses specifically on helping smaller organizations, or even some large organizations, large nonprofits, to leverage technology in a way that would make them more efficient. that will allow them to enter into this age of digital transformation. We've been talking about digital transformation for 10 years. Over the last 2 years, every organization that's on this call, every individual that's on this call that's participating in this event today has been touched by digital transformation in some form or fashion. So how do we help our communities to achieve that as well? We think about this notion of individual empowerment. How do we help individuals develop skills? How do we help train? And so we launched globally an initiative called our Microsoft Global Skilling Initiative. We initially aimed at skilling 25 million. We're at 35 million. And then in Houston, we launched Accelerate Houston, which is focused on digital skilling efforts. Last thing that I'll mention is that in our last speaker here, did just such a great job, Darrell, on this around entrepreneurship. And this notion of entrepreneurship and innovation is key. This is why we actually have a space at the ION. We committed to the city and with the city just last year around our investments in innovation, helping to drive social entrepreneurship. We have a social entrepreneurship program, Microsoft for Startups. It's also actively involved. We're supporting a variety of startup accelerators in the community so that we are looking at building a sustainable ecosystem, helping to build a sustainable ecosystem where the community can uplift, where we can support and feed in, and then help really kind of raise the tides for everyone in the city. And so that's kind of where we're plugged in from a CSR standpoint. We value our relationship, of course, with the Greater Houston Black Chamber and all the great work that's happening. And that's the type of commitment I think that's needed by our organization and other organizations in our sector as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that. And thank all of you guys. We have learned a lot about just the technology sector and just like ways to get involved. So we have about 4 minutes left with this panel discussion. So just like one last question, what just like last advice do you guys just have for people just to build a bridge between their business and technology? You know, like sometimes it can seem a little daunting. It can seem a little like, how do I get started? Like, how does that work? What like advice do you have just to like build that bridge and like build that partnership?
So for me, that's what we do. So we have free consultations. We love to talk to people, just kind of see where they're at and where they're trying to get to and how we can help. So and it's just a phone call.
Good deal.
One of the things I'd say is that, we are, I mentioned this a few moments ago, we are in this age of digital transformation. And if we think about the next 5 years or the next 10 years, as an organization, every individual on this call, whether you're working for a company, own a company, you're a CEO of a company, whatever your role is, the thing that we should think about is how are you going to be positioned in the next 3 years, in the next 5, in the next 10, what does that look like? Because technology is revolutionizing every industry. Every company today is a technology company. Every person that's basically walking this planet in some form or fashion is a consumer of some type of technically enabled service. So whether you're ordering your package from your favorite store, leveraging whatever service you want to leverage, but it shows up. Anything that you're doing, anything that you're touching today, for most of us, is something that's been enabled by technology. So whether you're building something new, reimagining your organization, reimagining how you're engaging with your customers, your organization, those that you're engaged with, this is so critical now, and it will become even more critical as we look over the next 5 or 10 years.
That is so true. Danae, do you have any last thoughts?
Yeah, I think really Ramel and Darrell summed it up really well. I'll just try to add a little bit to what they've already said. I think a really key part is just showing up, coming out to things that have to do with technology and innovation, coming to places like the ION and starting to collaborate and get to know people that are in industries different from your own, it really does spark lots of creativity and innovative juices and lets you see what some of the possibilities are, what some other people are working on that maybe you could tap into. And that's the whole point of the ION, and having people like Darrell and Ramel that are in there, and you can rub shoulders with people, innovative people, and spark your own creativity too. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. Thank you for the work that you guys are doing within the community and in the technology space. Hope that everyone on the call can just connect with you guys in some capacity. And just a huge shout out to the Greater Houston Black Chamber for this wonderful event this morning. And I'll kick it back over to Tico.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. Thank you, everyone. That was so great. I appreciate all that fabulous information. And again, I think Mr. Mitchell hit it on the nail. If you aren't integrating or figuring out how to use technology in your business, today is the day that you start. So we're going to take a very quick 5-minute break, and then we will come back with our final panel where we'll be discussing how to take your business global. So stay tuned, y'all.
Hello, everyone. Can y'all hear me?
Yes. Hi. Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I want to just do a quick introduction of our final panel. Angelique Bartholomew, I just want to, as I said, take a moment of privilege. Thank you so much for coordinating this new and dynamic discussion for the panel. And with that, I'm just going to tell y'all briefly a little bit about Angelique, and then I will turn the program over to her. Okay, so Angelique Bartholomew is Vice President of Business Development and Co-Engagement Lead at Impact Strategies Consulting. She reports directly to the CEO and the board. She leads the business development and public relations activities at Impact and supports the executive leadership team to identify, evaluate, and drive strategic growth through new market initiatives. Angelique is locally and nationally recognized as a strategic thinker and community leader. With more than 20 years of experience, she has impressionable political influence with officials and C-suite relationships across industries. She has focused her career in the areas of compliance, infrastructure, workforce development, transportation, and mobility consulting. Her role consists of implementation of the company's strategic marketing plan and is responsible for the national budget to build the Impact brand across all service lines, including disaster recovery, compliance, mobility, and transportation and construction management. She assists in leading the phenomenal growth of one of the most dynamic firms in the nation. Angelique, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone, so much for joining today and spending your Friday lunchtime with me. So we're excited about today, and I can't think of a better way to end a phenomenal event that I think the Chamber has put on today than to end it with a broader vision and a global perspective. The teams that have come on, or the panelists that have been on today, have been totally impressive and informative. And I hope that you were able to join some of the other opportunities that were shared with us today. The last panel, I do have to highlight, Impact was very heavily involved in the ION's participation and growth for a number of different small businesses like yours on the call today. And I really want to give a shout out to Shelby and her panel, Deanna, Ramel, and Darrell, for just really providing good tech support and tech information to take your business to the next level. And I can't think of a better way to transition into a global opportunity. So many of us think that we've got to be present in a global space to be able to interact. And our panel today has experience with economic development, global industries, and finance. And that's what's really exciting, because you've got the technical that came right before this, and now we're leading into ways that you can really take the next step. I want to first thank the Chamber. I've been here 20 years and they've stayed active in the community for small businesses the entire 20 years that I've been here. And Carol Guest and her leadership has just been phenomenal. And then, of course, I've got to thank my cohorts. Tico is doing an amazing job in economic development, period. End of story. And Shelby, of course, is the co-chair for the advocacy committee. Many of you know that I'm passionate about legislation and laws and all that kind of stuff. So I have a techie millennial kind of co-chair person, because I wasn't able to put all of that stuff together to get the information out. And Shelby led the tech panel, which is why she is definitely a co-chair, because she is helpful with how to disseminate that information. So if you aren't doing that and you don't know how to do it and you've plateaued like me, get somebody that can help you. Now, we're going to get into our exciting panel about global industries and why it matters to many of you that are on this call. One of the things that I'd like to ask for you to do today is just take a nugget. Don't try to eat the entire elephant. Just like you can't eat a whole elephant, you can't eat the globe and expect your business to be big in one day. This is about getting information that will help you direct your business to that global next step. I was recently appointed to the TFAC for the U.S. Department of Commerce by Secretary Raimondo, and that is the Trade Finance Advisory Council, and it's a 2-year appointment. And some of the initiatives are diversity, inclusion of small businesses, but more importantly, finance and supply chain, and why that matters. So hence, we've got Exim Bank on here. And then there is always an economic development perspective that has to be put in play when it comes to taking your business global. And I could not think of a better person to bring on board than our Mayor Pro Tem, Martha Castex-Tatum, who has put economic development at the forefront in Houston. If you don't attend her calls on a weekly basis where she's sending out all of this information about what's going on in Houston, you're missing it. You're missing the boat, because she actually asks the tough questions on those calls. She is drilling down on the economics of small business. And then, of course, we have Troy Williams on the call, on the panel today. And Troy has really worked from a grassroots perspective, bringing Texans into the U.S. global chain. And he has worked with many organizations, over 500 organizations and NGOs, to help them connect to Texas and Houston. So I want to open up our panel. I've given you just a tidbit about them, but nobody can talk about themselves or brag about themselves better than the people that are speaking. So I want to just have each of them give you kind of a 1-minute perspective about why they are engaged in international business, for one, or their experience, and then share some tidbit about the global impact of the pandemic on small businesses, because that is truly what we're facing. And that is what is going to allow us to go to the next step. So, Council Member Martha, can you please say hello and just introduce yourself a little bit further about your international experience and take it from there.
So good morning, Angelique. I concur with everything you said. This forum today has been phenomenal. So excited to be on this panel. Tico, Carol, everyone who's played a part in the information being given today. I logged in so I could start listening at about 9:15, and I was multitasking, but I kept coming back to my notes, and I would write something down. I was like, oh, I need to call her. Oh, I need to get them on the committee meeting. So it has been really informative to see all of these players in economic development and in business, and the importance of our small businesses in one space and available to provide this invaluable information to all of our participants today. I am currently the chairperson of the City of Houston's Economic Development Committee. And in that committee meeting, we discuss matters related to economic development, of course, domestic and international trade, business and job creation, along with aviation. If you are not on our distribution list, may I ask that you email us at districtk@houstontx.gov and just send us a short email that says, please add me to your economic development distribution list. And we'll get you added so that you can attend our monthly meetings and just get the agenda and, peruse the agenda, see if there's anything on the agenda that is important to your business or that you need to know. We'd love to engage with you each month, or as you see fit. Our doors are always open. We are happy to champion and usher and coordinate and connect people with the City of Houston's Office of Business Opportunity, which Dr. Portia was on earlier and provided just the invaluable information about the city's OBO office. So looking forward to serving on the panel today.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Council Member. And then, of course, we have Eric Stevens, and Eric is the Export Finance Manager at EXIM Bank, and that stands for, you guys, Export-Import Bank of the United States. And Eric is also on the Regional Export Promotion Program, which brings together state, county, and local nonprofit organizations for economic development alongside EXIM Bank. So really excited to have Eric on. Eric, can you just give us a little tidbit about your involvement internationally? You there? Let's see. We'll come back to Eric. I think he's having some technical difficulties. Let's get Troy on the line. Troy Williams serves with as the Southwest Outreach Director for the U.S. Global Leadership Coalition. And that is a broad-based coalition of more than 500 businesses and NGOs that advocate on a U.S. global level for the engagement of Texans throughout Oklahoma and Mexico, deepening the relationships that we have with with leadership in the federal space to join and do business with us. Troy, do you want to share a little bit about your experience in the international space and global business space?
Absolutely. Like Angelique shared, I focus on Texas, Oklahoma, and New Mexico, making sure that folks, both the public as well as our members of Congress, really understand the impact of the international affairs budget and the agencies and programs that it supports, right? The U.S. International Development Agency, as well as the Export-Import Bank, along with the Development Finance Corporation, the U.S. Trade and Development Agency. So there are a number of agencies under the umbrella of the international affairs budget that continues to promote economic prosperity, American interests, national security interests. And for me, it's been important to make sure that folks in Texas, specifically Houstonians, know how to get involved and engage in this space. I think specifically for the Greater Houston Black Chamber, it's necessary in this global city to be globally engaged. We know that 95% of consumers are outside of the United States. So we have to make sure that in order for businesses to grow and thrive, we have to be able to engage those consumers that we otherwise would not meet. And in reflection of COVID-19 and its impact over the last year, we know that over 255 million jobs globally have been lost due to COVID-19. And so it's imperative that on behalf of our economic interests, right, that we are continuing to engage, we're thoughtful about how we are engaging, and that we're making sure that small and medium-sized businesses are included in this conversation, because they are the leaders in exports, specifically here in the Houston area and Texas. You will see that a vast majority of the exports that go out to the rest of the world are on behalf of small and medium-sized businesses. So with that being said, I'll give the mic away and let
hey girl, where you been?
Good,
you been sick?
Panelists.
All right,
okay.
Thank you. And we definitely like to ask Ms. Johnson to mute, please.
So are you gonna clean my room today?
Can I ask you to mute?
Okay,
Ms. Johnson, can you please mute?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you, no problem. Okay. All right, we've got Mr. Eric, I believe Stevens can hear us. Mr. Stevens is from the EXIM Bank, you guys, and I did introduce him as an export finance manager that has been working with EXIM Bank throughout the country and he's very involved in the Regional Export Promotion Program, which is huge for EXIM Bank, bringing state, local, government and nonprofit organizations to EXIM Bank for the finance process. Eric, can you please just say hello and share a little bit about your international experience?
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to be here today. Absolutely fantastic conference so far. I've written a number of notes myself and people I need to reach out to. Thank you for the introduction. And once again, Eric Stevens with EXIM Bank. I'm also attached to the Minority and Women-Owned Division of EXIM Bank, which is a 20-year-old division within EXIM, which primarily focuses on engaging with minority and women-owned companies as well as disability-owned companies to make sure they're getting the equity of access to information and education they need to be successful from an export standpoint. A lot of minority companies feel exporting is maybe out of their reach, and it's really not. There's resources available across the United States, locally, nationally, which will get you to that next level of exporting. So I don't want people to think that, you know, if I got a government contract, I'm good. No, let's take it to that next level. Let's make sure that we're insulated for any type of economic situation that might happen in our country. As we can see, 2020, 21 really took a toll on everybody across the United States. Now, from an economic standpoint, we've seen a number of businesses over the last year pop up in terms of actual small businesses have increased. Not all of them are exportable, but people got home, they started having ideas, and they started to follow their passion, which is absolutely fantastic. So some of those passions could also be less export.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that, Eric. And you're absolutely right, because I've seen a couple of friends actually develop small businesses in that capacity. I want to just open up with a couple of questions so that we can get to some Q&A. But this question is directed at Mr. Williams-Troy. Do you think that the international space has opened up for African Americans, specifically minority women-owned businesses during the pandemic? Why or why not? Do you think that this space has opened up? And I think that Eric kind of answered that a little bit for us. Troy?
No, absolutely. I think he did as well. There is enormous opportunity that exists, once again, when engaging the rest of the world. And like I said, when we look at the exports that the Houston area is responsible for, and Texas at large, we know that vast majority are, originate from small and medium-sized businesses, right? And we also know that this space is particularly I would say that we're underrepresented in this space, but there is room for us to be engaged. And I think it begins with conversations just like this, where we are sharing the information and the resources necessary for folks to get engaged, whether it be through the Ex-Im Bank or a number of other agencies, both at the federal and state level, that will certainly support and provide the resources to continue to expand business.
Awesome, awesome. And I do want to give the council member a stab at that. If you believe, Martha, the pandemic has really just opened up opportunities globally in our community, particularly for small businesses.
Absolutely. I totally agree with Troy, and the access is growing even more. Even the information that we receive today, you see how many of these industries are looking for minority and women-owned businesses to expand their portfolios. We all know that if our small businesses grow, our minority businesses grow, it makes for a better community, a better city, a better state, a better world. And the more we can participate, the better it is for all of our communities. And so I'm so encouraged by all of these venues and opportunities that are available, but I want to encourage our small business owners to not only think about the opportunities local, but to take advantage of the opportunities to take your business, your service global. I mean, get to know the lenders who can help you build capacity so you can start thinking about global entry and importing and exporting your products. It makes us all more competitive. And once we have good competition, that gets products that are less expensive to our homes. And there's so many opportunities. So my mother used to always tell me it's better to be prepared and not have an opportunity than to have an opportunity and not be prepared. So
you stay ready, you don't have to get ready, right?
Exactly. So I totally agree that the market is open for us. Let's go get it.
Awesome, awesome. And speaking of get to know the lenders or the finance, I think that was one of the big things, Eric, that has come up a number of times on my trade and finance calls with the government. Ex-Im participates in that council, and it's really important for small business owners to have an avenue or to understand steps that they're able to take, no matter how small or big, but I think that it has to be in little bites. Can you share with us some of the keys to doing business globally and what those financial steps may look like and what Ex-Im Bank can provide?
Absolutely. One of the things I think is crucially important is you utilize your local resources, whether it be from the city of Houston, the state of Texas, any other development agencies within your area. Are there grants available to help you start your business, continue on with your business, such as the STEP grant offered by the SBA? The STEP grant, one of the biggest uses for the STEP grant right now is that we'll give you the opportunity to use those funds to update your website to a global website where it translates into different languages. So you can make yourself available to other avenues across the world. Secondly, it also, and most recently, they also making those funds available to assist businesses to pay their premiums on export credit insurance. So what that basically means is basically you can use a STEP grant within your state. Every state is different, but you can use that to pay your actual fees for your export credit insurance. So you're basically getting that for free. We don't get our homeowners insurance for free. We don't get our car insurance for free. So please take advantage of all those resources. Make sure you also have your business in good shape from a financial standpoint. I know a lot of times we do what we can to minimize our tax burden. So when we go to the bank and get a loan or ask for a loan, it looks as though our business really isn't that profitable, but it really is because we write everything off. We have to be more forthcoming financially to be able to do that. Those are some of the keys right up front that they need to go forward. And as far as export credit insurance, which is Ex-Im's pretty much crown jewel, what we actually offer, along with our working capital and guarantees, it minimizes the risk. Nobody wants to lose money. So if I can tell you that I can help you make sure you get paid up to 95% of what you laid out in terms of from a sale, that should be go, how can I do this?
Awesome. Thank you so much, Eric, for sharing that, because that was one of the first things that I had to learn and understand about Ex-Im banking and why it was so difficult for small businesses to actually get the funding needed to be able to expand and grow. And Ex-Im provides that insurability, if I could say. So thank you so much for that. And those are just nuggets, you guys, that you can take away from this call and really understand what's available to you to get started. I want to, we have just a few minutes left. I want to ask Council Member Martha, what living in Houston can do for small businesses and what we have available here in Houston to really expand our business and market. Houston is a global place, and it always has been. And the ION is here, the technology is here. What are some of the avenues you would strongly suggest for people to be familiar with in order to internationally grow their business from an economic development standpoint?
So first of all, I would definitely take advantage of all of the opportunities that our City of Houston's Office of Business Opportunity has so that your business can have a strong foundation. And then there are so many organizations, one in particular, Houston International Trade Development with Val Thompson. I had an opportunity to travel to Cuba on a trade mission with a former member, Council Member Green, and we had a host of people on that trip that wanted to do business in Cuba. And so being available and making time and access to travel abroad so that you can meet the people in these other places will also give you a perspective and also help you to make those connections needed. And then when you come back to Houston, we've got one of the best ports in the world. Make the connections with the port, make the connections with OBO, and then of course, make the connections with people that are traveling to these places that could potentially be good access points for you in the city of Houston. So it's tough to own a business, but if you put in the investments, the rewards are great.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much. And of course, the Houston International Trade Development Council is doing a great job along with Val Thompson and bringing small businesses to the global platform. That's really one of the areas that is the focus for that organization as well. I'm excited about what our panel has shared with us today, but I do want to hear from each of you what the chamber is able to do to truly advocate and make sure that small businesses on this call and members of the chamber are truly connected to opportunities. What do you see as an advocacy, from an advocacy standpoint, that we're able to do? I know that we're hosting this procurement forum and we're talking about business, but what is it that the chamber is able to do to bring to the table to make sure that these small businesses can have access and participate? Each of you, of course, I can start with you, Troy. What do you think about that? What can the chamber do to support getting in front of your organization and making sure that small businesses can participate?
Yeah, we focus on advocacy at USGLC, and part of it is advocating for programs and organizations like the Exim Bank, right? Knowing the benefits that it provides not only to the global community, but to folks right here at home. And so I would certainly say that advocacy is important. Each year, members of Congress vote on bills that include funding for the Exim Bank, the U.S. Trade and Development Agency, the Development Finance Corporation, all organizations that really spearhead a lot of our economic engagement globally. And so we have to make sure that members of Congress understand how crucial those programs are to folks like and organizations like the GHBC, and make sure that we're lifting our voice as much as we can to ensure that those programs are protected.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And I definitely sent over one of those emails to our Congress people when you asked for it. All right, Eric, what do you think? How can we advocate and make sure that the chamber and the chamber members are involved with Exim Bank?
Absolutely. Is making sure that you share the wealth. When I say that, share the information. Okay. Be engaging, ask questions. We had the opportunity last month during the Black Business Month to actually sit down and have a conversation on a webinar with President Busby of the U.S. Black Chamber of Commerce. He laid out a plan that basically all businesses need to think globally. They need to make sure, don't think inside the box, think outside of the box from a global perspective. So just making sure you do that and constantly ask questions and connect with individuals. If you're on a business on this phone today and you're not connecting with somebody who's on this phone about how I can get better or make my business better, then you're not doing yourself justice.
Awesome, awesome. And last but not least, our very own city council member, Martha, what can the chamber do? I think that we call on you a lot, so you've told us what we need to do, but you can share with us.
The only thing I would add is just to communicate with us. If there are some challenges that we aren't meeting, let us know about that, because I will tell you, your council members want to make it accessible for our small businesses, because we know if our small businesses are successful, our city is successful. So we have advocates that are here for you. Reach out to us, let us know what your challenges are, and we can help you navigate towards the resources that can help you overcome those challenges.
Wonderful. I definitely want to thank each of you so much for participating today. Some of you I reached out to at the last minute because we had so much going on. There's so much happening in our world, and disasters and various other things that we've got to take care of. So I really appreciate your patience with getting the information to participate in this event today. I want to turn it over to our president or to Tico or any of the people that have worked so hard to make this panel feel and look like we're in touch with each other. So that's a really good thing. And I hope that y'all enjoyed it as much as I did. Carol, do you have anything you want to add? Tico, it's in y'all's hands.
Tico, I'll yield the floor to you first.
Oh, no, I have nothing else to add. Thank you so much, for this wonderful session. I've really enjoyed it.
Awesome.
Okay, well, I'll echo what Tico had to say. Thank you to all of you for the wonderful information that you provided. I think Council Member Tatum, our Vice Mayor Pro Tem, has to be one of the hardest working people in government, hands down. Thank you so much for always being here for the Chamber and for supporting us. We really appreciate your time. And thank you to everyone on the panel for giving us that global perspective. So we're at the end of our time today, and I think that these panels have been very, very informative. I hope that everyone took notes. I told you I was going to check in.
Yeah.
I hope you have notes. Post them on Facebook, post them on social media so I can grade them. But seriously, thank you all to our members and to supporters who have come today to support the Greater Houston Black Chamber and to get the information that you've gotten today. A special thank you again to our sponsors, the University of Houston, Chevron, Houston Community College in Port Houston, for sponsoring this event, and to our members. Again, without you all, we're not able to bring you this type of quality programming. So thank you for your membership. And if you're not a member, feel free to join today. The link is in the chat. We welcome you. We welcome your ideas. We want you to get involved and active in our committees. And thank you to Tico. Tico, I think I owe you a round trip ticket somewhere. And Angelique, thank you so much. Our Economic Development Committee and Advocacy and Policy chairs and co-chair Shelby Mims, thank you for the work that you've done on bringing this to fruition. So before we go, I'd like to bring to the forefront, save the date, October 23rd, the Pinnacle Awards will be a virtual event. Ms. Angelique Bartholomew is one of our Pinnacle Award winners. So thank you, Angelique, for your service. It will be broadcast on Facebook, YouTube, and Channel 55, the sister station of KHOU. So thank you to KHOU for your support of the Greater Houston Black Chamber. So again, we invite you to join our chamber. This session was one of many things that we do to assist our members. We also want you to sign up as soon as you can because we're in partnership with United Airlines, who is featuring our businesses on their mobile app. So when people fly into Houston 24 hours before their flight, they will see you in the Buy Black Houston listing as part of our Buy Black campaign. So make sure that you sign up today. So on behalf of our board of directors and all of the members of the Greater Houston Black Chamber, thank you for joining us today, and we will see you at our next event.